Use this worksheet titled Rounding to the Nearest Whole Number and this video to solve the following problems. Make sure that you're on the paper that starts with the first problem that says 1 7/10. Now, let's read the problem together. What is the value of 1 7/10 when rounded to the nearest whole number? So, first, we need to figure out what is a whole number. Any number that does not have a decimal or fraction. Pause the video, write that down. Now for me, when I'm rounding numbers, the easiest way for me to think about it is on a vertical number line. So I'm going to begin by drawing my vertical number line. Make sure that you have what you are rounding down to and what you're rounding up to and a midpoint on your number line. So in the number 1 7/10, my whole number will be before the decimal, 1. So I'm either going to be rounding down to 1, or I'm going to be rounding up to, what is the next number higher than 1? 2. Now you need to think, what is halfway between 1 and 2? 1.5. And as a decimal, we write that 1 5/10, because 5/10 is the same as 1/2. And 1/2 as a decimal is 1/2. Okay, make sure you write that down. That is how we get our 1/2 here. So we have 1 7/10. Where on our number line will 1 7/10 be? Just so you can picture it, always between 1 and 1.5, we have 1 1/10, 1 2/10, 1 3/10, and 1 4/10. And we have 1.5 here, or 1 5/10. Then above that, we have 1 6/10, 1 7/10, 1 8/10, and 1 9/10. And then we have 2 wholes. So we can see that 1 7/10 is right here. So it is above 1 5/10. So we are going to round up to 2 wholes. So 1 7/10 rounded to the nearest whole number is 2. Now let's read the second question. What is the value of 2 7/100 when rounded to the nearest whole number? So again, underline the whole number. The whole number is before the decimal. So in this case, it is 2. Then we will make our vertical number line with our number at the bottom that we're rounding down to, the number at the top that we could round up to, and our midpoint, the number halfway between them. So if the number that we're looking at is 2 7/100, we know our whole number is either going to round down to 2 or round up to, what's 1 more than 2? 3. Now our midpoint, what is halfway between 2 and 3? 2.5, which as a decimal we write 2.5, 2.5. All right, now we're looking 2 7/100. We just have our tenths here, because this is a whole number and this is a whole number and this has a tenth. So if you need to think about it like this, it's always, if it's a whole number, everything behind it, it has zeros behind the decimal. but we don't write that because we're just rounding to a whole number. So here we will have 2 1/10, 2 2/10, 2 3/10, 2 4/10, 2 5/10, 2 6/10, 2 7/10, 2 8/10, 2 9/10, and then 3 wholes. So you can see this is not on our list of tenths because it's in the hundredths. So we have to know that we're just looking at the first number. We're just looking at the 0. And we know that 0 comes before 1. So 2 7/10 is going to be between 2 and 2 1/10. It's going to be in here. So we know that that is very close to 2, so we are going to round down to 2. Now let's go to the next problem. What is the value of 20 11/100ths when rounded to the nearest whole number? So again, I'm going to make my vertical number line with the number that I can round down to and the number I can round up to and my midpoint. So we can see that the whole number, the number before the decimal, is 20. So 20 will be the number that we are to round down to. So 20 goes at the bottom. What is 1 more than 20? 21. So we are either going to round down to 20 or up to 21. Now, we need to know what is halfway between 20 and 21. Well, 20 1/2. And as a decimal, we write that as 0.5. So we are now going to look at 20 11/100ths. And we are going to say, where would 20 11/100ths go on our number line? So really, we mostly need to look at the place. So all of these on this number line are 20 and something except for 21. So everything from here down is 20 and something. So we need to look at the 1. We know that 0.5 is here, which means below will be 20 1/10, 20 2/10, 20 3/10, 20 4/10, and then 20 5/10. And since we have 20 1/10 and then 100th, we know that 20 11/100ths will be right around here. So I'm going to put a dot here, and we know that we are, since it is way closer to 20, that we are going to round down to 20. So what is the nearest whole number? 20. All right, pause the video if you need to. I'm going to move on to the next question. What is the value of 25 105 when rounded to the nearest whole number? All right, because we're just rounding to the nearest whole number, we mostly need to look at the whole number, which is 25. So I'm going to make my vertical number line. Make sure that you include your midpoint. So if 25 is our whole number, we know that 25 and this decimal are going to either round down to 25 or up to, what is 1 more than 25? 26. And then lastly, I need your help with figuring out what goes in the middle of 25 and 26. 25 1/2, which we write as 0.5. Now, We have thousandths here. We are not going to mark thousandths on our number line. That would be silly. So let's just look. This is the same as saying 1/10, 0/100ths, and 5/1000ths, this part of the decimal. So would 25 and 1/10, if we just looked at this part with the 1, would that be greater than 25 and 5/10ths or less than 25 and 5/10ths? Well, because we've been studying decimals, we know that 25 and 1/10 would be less, would be below 25 and 5/10ths. So we would round to 25. 25. Now at the top of the right column, let's do this problem. What is the value of 1 77/100ths when rounded to the nearest whole number? So it's whole number again. The first thing we do is draw our vertical number line. Pause the video, draw your number line. Now that your number line is drawn, let's look. 1 is the whole number. It comes before the decimal. So our whole number is 1, which means that 1 77/100ths needs to be between these two ends. So we're either going to round down to 1 or up to, what is 1 more than 1? 2. So in the middle, between 1 and 2 is 1.5. Now, look at this number, 1 77/100ths. Because we only have tenths right here, remember, so this is 5/10ths, or if we're doing hundredths, we put a 0 and make it 50/100ths. That's the exact same thing. Would 77/100ths be above 50/100ths or below 50/100ths? Well, when we learned how to count, we know that 77 is higher than 50. So draw your line. 1 77/100ths would be more than 50. So we are going to round up to 2. So our answer is, the nearest whole number is 2. Let's read the next question. What is the value of 4 65/100ths when rounded to the nearest whole number? So we're going to draw our vertical number line. Did I get mine drawn faster than you? I cheated, sorry. All right, 4 56/100ths. Our whole number is 4. Hopefully you're seeing the pattern here. 4. So we're either going to round down to 4 or up to, what is one whole number more than 4? 5. 5 is one more than 4. And in between 4 and 5 is 4.5. Now, because we're looking at hundredths here, you can put a 0 to make it 50/100ths. Because 50/100ths, also written as 50/100ths, is the same as 5/10ths. See how those are the same? There's a 5 in the 10th place and a 0 in the 100th place. Here and here where there's nothing. So we can make this the same. Now 65, is that above or below 50? It is above. 65 is always above 50. So we put 4 65/100ths is above 4 50/100ths. So we round up to 5. So the nearest whole number to 4 65/100ths is 5. Now these last two problems I want you to do on your own. So first you're going to make your number lines. Then you will look what is the nearest whole number to this. So you're going to look at the whole number. Is it the whole number or one more than the whole number? Then in the middle you're going to put what's between this number and this number. Then figure out, does it round up or down? All right, it's your turn to try those. Pause the video and do this problem and this problem. Okay, now we're going to check our work. The whole number in this number, 16 and 82 hundredths, is 16. So you're either going to round down to 16 or up to 17. And then what's halfway between 16 and 17? 16 and a half. Great. Now, you need to figure out, where does this number go on the number line? It should be, and we can put a 0 here so you can have hundredths. 50 hundredths is the same as 5/10. Is 82 larger than 50 or smaller than 50? It is larger. So we round up to 17. Now on this problem, what is the value of 19 and 49 hundredths when rounded to the nearest whole number? So 19 is our whole number, so we will round either down to 19. One more than 19 is 20. What's between 19 and 20? 19 and a half. Now here we have hundredths. So we can change this into hundredths. We will have it be 50 hundredths instead of 5/10. And 49 is less than 50. Just barely, but it's still less. So 49 will go below 50, and we will round down to 19. Mark your answers. Make sure you write them here and circle it on your number line. I want to see that you are listening to this video. I hope that this helped and that you feel better at rounding on a number line. We will continue to do it in class throughout the year.